Welcome back to session 2 of our campaign of Dungeons & Dragons using ChatGPT-4 Omni as the Dungeon Master.
Ooh, is it a special episode today because we get to see if 4 Omni is capable of doing what ChatGPT-4 was not. But we are about to get into battle. Let's get a brief recap.
The party arrived in the town of Wormwatch where people were going missing, people were getting abducted, and so we went into the tavern called the Krakens Mug, which was a great name, talked to the bartender and a creepy guy in the corner who told us if we wanted to find out more about the abductions of the people and why the town was so weird, we should go talk to the priest in the old chapel. So we showed up at the chapel, and on the ground there was footprints of a monster of some sort that had webbed feet and claws, and its tracks were leading into the chapel. The door was left ajar. So we got our weapons, we charged in there, and the priest Dornal, or whatever his name was at the altar kneeling and trembling and muttering and just being generally creepy. So ChatGPT asked us to roll for initiative.
And that is the really exciting part. We're excited to see how 4O does with battle.
Last time, that's where it really fell apart and made it basically unusable as a dungeon master. So today, we'll see if it works well enough, which will basically determine whether AI is ready to be a proficient dungeon master.
Play the clip.
Roll the clip.
Roll for initiative. Roll the clip.
I'll need everyone to roll initiative, as whatever lurks in the chapel reveals itself. What are your rolls?
Our initiatives are the following. Katrin has rolled a 19, Benadryl a 17, Vertigar an 18, and Garen a 13.
Here's the initiative order. Katrin 19, Vertigar 18, Benadryl 17, Garen 13 unknown creatures to act after the party. As the party readies for combat, you hear the slithering grow louder from the far corners of the chapel.
Slithering.
The shadows shift unnaturally, revealing two figures emerging from behind the altar. Their forms are twisted humanoid, but their skin is slick with scales, and their fingers end in webbed claws. These creatures, seemingly born of the sea, lock their cold, unblinking eyes on your group. The priest, Dornal, remains kneeling, his body trembling but seemingly unable to move. Katrin, you're up first. What would you like to do?
We rolled for initiative. Does that mean you are for sure going to try to kill these guys?
It means it's slowed down to a 6-second period. So everything has gone slow. We can now decide what to do.
If I'm watching this play out, all of a sudden the main characters, which is me, it's like slow-mo, like what they do.
Alas, Garen the Paladin rolled last in initiative, and so it will be
not the main
violent.
I'm not the main character, so...
Mom is the main character right now.
Katrin.
So I'm gonna
Shoot it.
Hold on.
shoot my trap bow.
Kill it with fire!
Let's talk about this real quick. What if the priest has been... He's scared. I said his eyes were scared, but also something else. What if he's been...
Put that
like
Yeah,
possessed,
sure.
so we shouldn't try and kill him, right? We should try and unpossess him, but the shadowy figures we should kill.
I'll give him a good thunk on the head and see if it brings him to his
on the
senses.
head, and someone do a little holy water spritz.
I don't have holy water.
He
We
does,
don't holy
he does,
arrows.
right?
He
I don't think
has...
so. I don't have much.
He's a paladin, so he probably does.
I have a mess kit.
Throw some food at him, maybe they'll stop
A
chasing him.
mess kit?
Water skin? Okay, take your water and bless it.
Water skin.
Yeah, take your
You
water
wanna
skin and
bless my
it.
water
That's not how that works.
It is.
No.
I have a tinderbox.
He doesn't have a spell for blessed water.
He does, it's not just a spell, it's just a blessing. He
That's
just
not how.
prays.
That's not how it works. You can ask the dungeon master.
Go
ahead.
So
Shoot
Shoot him.
that
Kill 'em
bad
all.
boy.
Kill him
which
all.
one? There's
Priest
two.
or not,
Shoot one of
he
them.
deserves to die.
The closest one too.
Whichever
They're all
one
sinners.
you decide, it's your turn.
Tell me when you're
Okay.
ready.
So Katrin will shoot her bow. Do I need to roll? Okay, that's good.
Yes, you'll need to roll for Katrin's attack with her bow to see if it hits. Go ahead and roll for her attack, adding her attack bonus, and let me know what the total is.
Katrin rolls a 16 to hit the closest monster. Whatever it is.
Katrin quickly draws her bow, taking aim at the nearest of the twisted aquatic creatures. Her arrow flies through the air, and with a roll of 16, it strikes true, piercing the creature's scaly hide.
Yeah.
Go ahead and roll for damage now. Let me know the result.
Nice.
Katrin rolls a 5 damage.
Katrin's arrow finds its mark, sinking deep into the creature's side, and it lets out a wet, guttural hiss as 5 points of damage tear through its flesh. Though wounded, the creature remains standing, its cold eyes locked on your group, now filled with malice.
Oh,
Vertigar is next in the initiative order. What would he like to do?
Vertigar the Barbarian, who hasn't seen combat in far too long and is now filled with ale from the tavern, readies his great axe and flies into a rage using his bonus action. With his axe raised above his head, he charges to the nearest of the unwounded monsters and brings his great axe down with a mighty roar.
Vertigar, fueled by both rage and ale, lets out a ferocious roar as he charges toward the nearest unwounded creature, his great axe gleaming in the dim candlelight. The thrill of battle surges through him as he swings his massive weapon with all his might. Go ahead and roll for Vertigar's attack with his great axe, adding his attack bonus. Let me know what you get.
Vertigar rolls an 11 for his attack with his great axe.
With a roll of 11, Vertigar's mighty swing barely misses its mark as the creature ducks just in time, the great axe cleaving into the stone floor of the chapel with a loud crash. The creature hisses in response, its webbed claws flexing, seemingly preparing for a counterattack. Benadryl is up next. What would she like to do?
Benadryl, the rock gnome rogue, takes aim at the monster that is closest to Vertigar with her short bow.
Benadryl quickly takes aim at the creature closest to Vertigar, steadying her short bow and releasing an arrow toward the enemy while it's distracted by Vertigar's rage-filled assault. Go ahead and roll for her attack with the short bow and let me know the result, along with her attack bonus.
Benadryl rolls a 13 to hit.
With a roll of 13, Benadryl's arrow flies through the air and just manages to strike the creature.
You told it
It lets out a sharp hiss as the arrow pierces its side. Go ahead and roll for damage, including any sneak attack bonus since the creature is engaged with Vertigar, giving Benadryl the opportunity.
Yeah, good job, ChatGPT.
Let me know the total.
Benadryl rolls an 8, including sneak attack.
Benadryl's arrow strikes true, dealing a solid 8 points of damage to the creature engaged with Vertigar. The creature snarls in pain, reeling from the blow, but still standing, though clearly weakened. Garen is next in the initiative order. What would he like to do?
Garen charges at the creep that's not currently engaged with Vertigar with his longsword.
Garen, his halberd gleaming, charges toward the second creature,
Longsword.
raising his weapon high and preparing to strike with divine determination. His eyes lock on the unengaged enemy, ready to deliver a powerful blow. Go ahead and roll for Garen's attack with his halberd, and let me know the result, adding the attack bonus.
Garen attacks with his longsword with a 9 + 5 for a 14 to hit.
With a total of 14, Garen's longsword strikes true. The blade cuts into the creature, slicing through its scaled flesh as it lets out a sharp, guttural hiss in pain. Now roll for Garen's damage with his longsword and let me know the result.
Garen rolls a 3 + 3 modifier for a 6 damage.
Garen's longsword cuts into the creature, dealing 6 points of damage. The creature recoils, clutching at the wound with its webbed hands, but remains on its feet, though clearly in pain.
And that's
Now
the
it's
one.
the creature's turn. The wounded one near Vertigar and Benadryl snarls in fury and lunges at Vertigar, swiping at him with its claws. The second one, wounded by Garen, attempts to retaliate against the paladin. I'll roll for their attacks. The creature attacking Vertigar rolls a 15 to hit. The creature attacking Garen rolls a 10 to hit. Does either attack hit your character's armor class?
The attack directed at Vertigar hits the Barbarian, but the attack directed at Garen does not beat his armor class.
The creature's claws rake across Vertigar's side, managing to find a gap in his defense. I'll roll for the creature's damage. The creature deals 4 points of slashing damage to Vertigar.
It's
Since
doing
he's in a
so
rage,
good!
he only takes 2 points of damage due to his
And
resistance
killing
to
Vertigar.
physical attacks. Meanwhile, Garen easily deflects the other creature's strike, its claws
18
bouncing
armor
off
class
his
at
armor
level
parts.
1, baby!
We're back at the top of the initiative order with Katrin. What would she like to do
Wait,
next?
did it even notice that I have resistance to damage because of my rage? Damn, ChatGPT is doing way better this time. Wow.
Pretty impressive, huh?
Did it notice that? Like, how
It did. I think it did. I wasn't listening too closely because I'm inebriated, but it sounded to me like he just said that I have resistance to the slashing damage because of my rage.
We can.
Let's look. He's enraged. He only takes 2 points of damage due to his resistance. Yes! Okay, so ChatGPT killing it as a dungeon master now.
Absolutely lovely.
Blown away. ChatGPT-4 Omni is an
knows
excellent
the rules and remembers them.
Katrin uses her longbow to shoot at the monster nearest Garen.
Katrin quickly knocks another arrow to her longbow and takes aim at the creature closest to her, her elven eyes focused on the target. Go ahead and roll for her attack with the longbow, adding her attack bonus, and let me know the result.
The result is 19, including the attack bonus.
Good job, Mom.
With a total of 19, Katrin's arrow flies true, striking the creature with deadly accuracy. The arrow sinks deep into the monster's scaled hide. Go ahead and roll for damage, and let me know the result.
Damage is 8.
Katrin's arrow strikes the creature with precision, dealing 8 points of damage. The monster lets out a gurgling hiss as the arrow lodges deep in its chest, staggering slightly under the blow. It's clearly weakened, but still standing. Next up is Vertigar.
It's a whole lot of damage done.
Vertigar, still enraged, and all the more so after being struck by the monstrous creature, raises his great axe for another swing, bringing it down with the force of fury to try and decapitate the monster.
Vertigar, fueled by his rage and the wound he received, swings his great axe with all his might, aiming to bring down the creature with a devastating blow.
Wow.
Go ahead and roll for Vertigar's attack with his great axe, adding his attack bonus, and let me know the result.
Vertigar rolled a total of 23.
With a roll of 23, Vertigar's great axe connects with a brutal, precise strike. As this is a natural 20, Vertigar lands a critical hit, meaning he gets to double the damage dice. Go ahead and roll for damage, doubling the dice, and then add his modifier. Let me know the total.
Natural 20.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. Natural 20 means you roll a 20.
Yeah, but he meant.
He didn't roll a 20. He rolled 19 plus 4 for 23. It guessed that it was 20 plus 3 for 23.
Right. Okay, so I do a total of 8 plus 2 damage. So
Do you
10
want to
damage.
tell it wasn't a natural 20?
No, I just tell him what the actual damage was without clarifying, and then we'll go on.
Okay.
Let's see if it kills it.
Vertigar rolls a total of 10 for damage.
Vertigar's great axe cleaves into the creature with a powerful strike, and though it's weakened, the monster manages to hang on to life.
This is an invincible monster. I hit the button barely.
It's gravely wounded, staggering, and barely able to stand. It's not quite finished off yet. Okay, so it's almost dead. I reckon if we hit it again, it'll kill it.
We'll see. Benadryl uses her short bow to attack the creature that is closest to Vertigar.
Benadryl quickly draws her short bow and aims at the wounded creature near Vertigar, looking to finish it off. Go ahead and roll for her attack with the short bow, adding the attack bonus, and let me know the result.
Benadryl rolls a 16.
With a roll of 16, Benadryl's arrow strikes the wounded creature cleanly. The arrow pierces through its scaled hide, hitting its mark. Now, go ahead and roll for damage, including any sneak attack bonus since the creature is engaged with Vertigo. Let me know the total.
The total is 8.
Ha! If only Benadryl could deal that much damage. But seriously, go ahead and let me know the actual damage roll so we can see what happens to the creature.
ChatGPT.
Benadryl can
Well,
Hold on a minute. We told
The
Chat-
total is 1 million. Is what it interprets. Wait, that's just a voice thing? That's just a voice thing. Look, that is amazing. That is amazing because if you would have said that in the last game, it would be like 1 million. Wow, you obliterated that monster. But this one's like,
If only. Now what did you really
It
roll?
responded like a
You
real
lying.
dungeon master.
like a real
would.
dungeon
You
master.
lying broke, you.
Like if you were listening as a dungeon master and you said 1 million, it'd be like,
Said Benadryl had far too much ale at the tavern if you think she's
She
dealing 1
feels
million
far too
damage.
confident.
I really hope ChatGPT doesn't let us down because it's doing such a great job. He responded with, okay, no, really, like
Half
what
exclamation point. If
It was-
only
it wasn't
Benadryl
8, by the
could
way, it
deal
was
that
10.
much damage.
was
It puts
6.
that in italics. If only Benadryl could deal that much damage.
This is good though because you actually scored 10 damage and you only told it 8. So
Why is that? Because she rolled 2 4s.
she did the math. What? What is
I
that?
rolled 2 4s.
She rolled a 6 and a 4.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was upside down. The first one was upside down, and it definitely looked like a 4.
It did.
It looked like an upside down 4. So now I'm confused. It did look like a 4 on
Okay,
the
so
screen.
tell her what you
So
actually
10.
tell him what you actually
Okay.
rolled.
Benadryl rolled a 10.
No mention of the joke you told before.
Benadryl's arrow strikes true, and with a total of 10 points of
10?
damage,
Strikes
it's
true?
enough to finish off the
13.
creature.
Enough to finish up!
The arrow buries itself deep into its chest, and with a gurgling hiss, the monster
We
collapses
still have
to the
one more
ground,
monster, and
its
I'm
body
next.
twitching before lying still.
Yes.
One down. Now it's Garen's turn. What would he like to do
can keep
against the
track
remaining
now.
creature?
Garen misspoke earlier. He does not have a halberd. He has a long sword, so he attacks the last evil creature with his long sword.
Vertigar must be.
Garen rolls an 11 plus 5 to hit.
With a total of 16, Garen's longsword strikes the remaining creature. The blade connects, slicing into its scaled body. Now roll for damage with Garen's longsword and let me know the result.
Garen rolls a 1 plus 3 modifier for a total of 4. Oh, whoa.
Oh,
Whoa.
Garen's longsword slices into the creature, dealing 4 points of damage. Though wounded, the creature is still standing, hissing in fury as it clutches its side. Now it's the creature's turn. In its wounded state, it lashes out desperately at Garen, trying to strike back. The creature rolls a 14 to hit. Does that beat Garen's armor class?
That does not beat the armor class of 18 that Garen holds.
Also, the priest that is possessed hasn't.
The creature's
Oh,
desperate
yeah.
attack is
So-
easily
I didn't
deflected
think he
by
was part of
Garen's
this. This is
armor,
remaining
its
creature.
claws scraping harmlessly against his shield. It snarls in frustration, its movements growing more erratic as it weakens. We're back to Katrin at the top of the initiative. What would she like to do?
Katrine would like to use her longbow to finish off the remaining creature.
Do you have a longbow or short bow?
She's long bow.
Katrin knocks another arrow, takes aim at the remaining creature, and releases, hoping to finish it off. Go ahead and roll for her attack with the longbow.
Katrine rolls a natural 20 with plus 5.
With a natural 20, Katrin lands a critical hit. Her arrow flies straight and true, striking the creature with deadly precision. Now, roll for damage and double the damage dice due to the critical hit. Add the modifier after doubling the dice, and let me know the total.
Katrine did a total of 14 damage.
Katrin's arrow pierces straight through the remaining creature with a powerful strike, delivering a total of 14 points of damage. The force of the arrow sends the creature staggering backward before it collapses to the ground, lifeless, its body twitching one last time before going still. Both creatures have been defeated, and the chapel falls into an eerie silence once more.
Wow!
The only sound remaining is the faint muttering of the priest, Dornall, still trembling at the altar. What would the party like to do next?
Yeah, this is
Find out
great.
what's wrong with Donald.
He wasn't part of the initiative. He didn't do anything. We actually took out. Wow, is it
Yeah,
doing
that was
stuff?
flawless.
Is it doing stuff behind the scene?
Well,
Is it
it
doing
is.
logic behind the
It
scene?
is.
Is
Kept track of the hit
ChatGPT
points.
finally ready?
It
Oh my gosh!
All right.
All right, the priest is back there trembling and muttering. Someone needs to
Yeah,
approach
he's,
him.
like,
Probably the
obviously
other
possessed.
priest, huh?
I want to whack.
Yeah.
I want to.
You want to whack him?
Can you bless some water?
No, that is not
that's so
how it
That's not a
works.
thing.
Garen approaches the priest and says, "Hey man, what's going on? Like, you seem pretty messed up."
Interesting.
That was really relaxed.
That was really relaxed. Good.
I didn't know what else
Garen approaches the trembling priest Dornall, his voice calm but firm as he says, "Hey man, what's going on? You seem pretty messed up." The priest, still kneeling at the altar, slowly turns his head toward Garen. His eyes are wild, darting around as if he's struggling to focus.
Hey, man.
His voice is raspy, almost incoherent as he mutters, "The sea, it calls to us. It won't let me go. The voices, the voices." He grips the edge of the altar tightly, his knuckles white, trembling as if fighting an unseen force. It's not just the water, it's them. They come from below. They want us, all of us. His voice cracks, and he finally meets Garen's eyes. I tried to stop it, but it's too late. They've already claimed the sea. What would Garen or the party like to do next?
What are you thinking?
What are y'all thinking?
I'm gonna grab him and slap him back to his senses.
No.
Garen grasps the priest and says, "Look, man, I need you to tell me what's going on here. Tell me, who are they? What do they want you to do? What can you tell me about they?"
Garen grasps the priest by the shoulders, trying to steady him. "Look, man, I need you to tell me what's going on.
bro.
Who are they? What do they want? What can you tell me about them? The priest's eyes widen at the forceful grip and Garens questions, and for a moment he seems to regain a sliver of clarity. His voice trembles as he speaks, but his words come out clearer now. They are from the deep, ancient, older than any tale.
I'm tired of all the details.
We thought they were just legends, sea monsters, myths to scare children, but they're real. He shudders, as if remembering something terrible. They've been calling to us from the sea, whispering in our dreams. First it was the fishermen, then the townsfolk. The voices told us to come to them, to join them. I tried to resist, but the others, they were taken. They want to bring us all beneath the waves. He grips Garen's arm tightly, his eyes desperate. They want to drown the town. They want us all. They're preparing for something bigger. The sea has never been so restless. It's just the beginning. How would Garen or the rest of the party like to proceed?
Vertigar, fresh from the fury of battle, drops his axe and seizes the priest firmly by both shoulders before slapping him hard across the face. Vertigar says to the man, "Priest, get a hold of yourself. Come to your senses. What happened to you? What caused this madness?"
Vertigar, still riding the adrenaline from battle, grabs the priest firmly by the shoulders and slaps him across the face with enough force to snap him out of his frantic state. The sound echoes through the small chapel. The priest gasps, his eyes wide with shock, and for a moment there's a stunned silence. He blinks rapidly, the wildness in his eyes fading slightly as the sharp jolt seems to pull him back to reality. The madness, it started with the sea, he says, his voice steadier now, though still laced with fear. One night about a month ago, something rose from the water, a great shadow in the fog. The fishermen were the first to go missing, then others. They heard the call, the same one I hear now. He swallows hard, his eyes locking on Vertigar's. I resisted as long as I could, but their voices, they get louder every day. It's like they're in my mind, pulling me toward the sea. His body shudders. It's not just the monsters you killed. There's something bigger down there, waiting. They're preparing for something terrible. He closes his eyes, as if summoning all his strength to stay focused. If you want to stop this, you need to go to the cliffs where the sea meets the caves. That's where it's strongest. That's where they come from. What does the party want to do next?
They wiped the sweat off their brow because the whole time they thought this was at the bottom of the sea.
Thinking they're gonna have to go snorkeling.
Garen, with his heavy armor and his lunky body that is obviously...
And their anti-fog spray.
obviously heavy stature, wipes his brow and says, "Whew, all we gotta do is go to the caves."
Clear their ears and they don their flippers.
Vertigar shows no fear. He dives in head first and drowns to death. And the three remaining in the party continue. Look, this is great news.
Benadryl goes
What
to
does
the
it
scuba
mean?
shop
What
and
does it
rents a
mean?
dive tank.
All right, okay.
And also a harpoon
gun.
gun.
We gotta figure out what to do next. Let's discuss among ourselves. Vertigar looks to the members of his party, points to the corpse of one of the monsters and says, "What in the name of all the gods is that monstrosity? Which of you, which is versed in the ways of magic, knows what this is?"
The heavy breathing.
That is so intense.
Vertigar, still full of energy from the
Yes.
battle, gestures toward the corpse of one of the
You can
fallen
tell you're full of
creatures.
energy.
What in the name of all the gods is that monstrosity? He asks, looking around at his companions. Which of you, versed in the ways of magic, knows what this is? Katrin steps forward cautiously, but while her skills in survival and nature have guided her through the wilds, these creatures seem foreign, even to her knowledge.
She didn't roll.
If Benadryl or Garen wishes to attempt an identification of the creature through a skill such as
Now it's asking
Arcana,
us to roll.
now would be the time.
Yeah,
Would either of them like to make a check, or would Katrin like to try something else?
All right, let's go back to the bartender and we'll talk to him.
Okay.
I'll speak to him.
You're telling us we're leaving the church now? You don't have any more
Let's
questions?
drag this priest with us. He's not stable. Vertigar grabs the priest by the hem of his garment and tells him, "Priest, you're coming with us. We're gonna get to the bottom of this matter at once." And with that, the party sets out to return to the tavern and to speak to the bartender, where Vertigar asks, "Bartender, it is time to solve the matter which has been plaguing your town. We aim to call a meeting of the citizens that remain. How shall we do it?
The party, with Vertigar firmly grabbing the priest by the hem of his tattered robes, marches back through the desolate streets of Wormwatch toward the tavern. The wind has picked up, and the sky above darkens ominously, as if reflecting the growing danger that looms over the town. The priest stumbles behind, too weak to resist Vertigar's grip, but unwilling to leave the party's side, haunted by the knowledge of what lies beneath the waves. As you re-enter the Krakens Mug, the bartender looks up with wide eyes, his face pale at the sight of the party dragging the broken priest behind them. Vertigar strides up to the bar, his presence commanding attention. "Bartender," Vertigar says, his voice booming in the now quiet tavern. "It is time to solve the matter which has been plaguing your town. We aim to call a meeting of the citizens that remain. How shall we do it?" The bartender hesitates for a moment, wringing his hands nervously, but then nods. "A meeting? Aye, a meeting might be best, but most of the people left here are too scared to even leave their homes at night." He glances out the window toward the storm brewing outside. "But if it's to be done, we'll need to light the town's beacon on the hill near the docks. It's the only way to gather whoever's left." He pauses, his face growing grimmer. "The beacon hasn't been lit in weeks, ever since the disappearances started. But if you can get it burning again, they'll come. The beacon is on the cliffs near the docks, the same area the priest mentioned earlier, where the creatures seem to be emerging. What does the party wish to do next?"
I was gonna offer to run up the hill and light the beacons, but I gotta go run past those cliffs that they were talking about earlier. And the
What if we ring a bell? I have a bell,
I'll-
and it says a standard bell that rings typically used for signaling.
Yeah, well, let's ring the rogue's bell and see if the ringing of it draws the citizens out to see what's going on.
oh, you're gonna ring your bell?
Yeah.
Ring my bell, ring my bell. Okay.
We're gonna cut that out.
Benadryl, the rogue rock gnome, uses her bell that's in her inventory to stand outside the tavern and ring it to call the citizens to a meeting.
Benadryl steps outside the tavern, pulling out the small bell from her inventory. The sound of the bell rings out, sharp and clear, cutting through the eerie silence of the village. Its metallic chime echoes off the stone walls and cobblestone streets, carrying through the wind. After several moments, you notice movement from the nearby houses. Shadows shift behind cracked windows, and soon a handful of nervous townsfolk begin to emerge cautiously, drawn by the sound of the bell. They approach with fearful looks, clearly wary of the situation, but curious enough to gather near the tavern. Within a few minutes, a small crowd of about a dozen villagers has formed outside. They murmur anxiously among themselves, glancing nervously at the darkening sky and the brewing storm. The citizens are gathered now. What would Vertigar or the rest of the party like to say or do next?
Hear ye, townfolk. I am Garen, the Dragonborn Paladin. And I am curious if any of you have any information that could be of use for me as I set out with my homies here to defeat your evil, to rid you of this evil force that lingers over you, that steals fishermen from their boats and steals boats from the sea. I urge you to fight with me, to stand with me, and help me as I rid you of this evil. Who has the courage to step forth and tell me what I need to know, or fight with me against this evil?
Well done, Paladin.
I've had too much to drink.
Silent as Garens steps forward,
They're all
his
silent.
booming voice cutting through the wind and the brewing storm. His powerful presence commands their attention, and as he speaks, they glance nervously at one another.
See how it goes.
Some seem hesitant, clutching their cloaks tighter against the chill, while others look down at their feet, unwilling to meet Garen's gaze. After a tense moment, a young fisherman steps forward, his hands trembling slightly. "Sir Paladin, we are but humble folk. We've seen the horrors with our own eyes, but most of us are too scared to act." He glances back at the other villagers. The sea, it's taken so many. My brother was one of the first. One night he just vanished. His boat gone, no sign of him ever again. Another voice pipes up, this time an older woman, her face lined with years of hardship. We've heard the voices too. In our sleep, They call to us, trying to drag us to the water. Some have gone willingly, others fought, but it didn't matter. They were taken. The young fisherman speaks again, his voice firmer this time. I don't know how to fight, but I can tell you that if you're looking for where they come from, it's the old sea caves beneath the cliffs. No one who's gone there has come back. There's a heavy silence, but the fisherman steps closer to Garens. I'll help in whatever way I can, though I'm no fighter. If it's the sea caves you're heading for, you'll need someone to guide you there in the dark. I can do that much. Even a few other villagers seem more willing to help, offering supplies, lanterns, and some basic equipment that might aid in the journey. While they may not be fighters, they now seem ready to support your mission, however they can. The villagers are ready to assist, and your party has the option to gather resources or set out for the caves immediately. What will the party do next?
Vertigar nods approvingly at the young fisherman who steps forward. What is your name, fisherman? We could use men with courage like yours, and before we set out, we will take supplies for our journey.
The young fisherman stands a little straighter as Vertigar acknowledges him. My name's Thomas, sir, he says, voice steadier now, his earlier fear replaced by resolve. I've lived here all my life, and I know these cliffs and caves better than anyone.
Nice.
He steps forward, ready to assist, and the other villagers, now rallied by Garen's words, begin to offer up supplies. One of the townsfolk, a weathered man who appears to have some experience with fishing gear, brings over several items that may prove useful. Lanterns for navigating the dark sea caves, rope and hooks, standard gear for fishermen, but potentially valuable for scaling cliffs or navigating the rocky terrain. Provisions of dried fish and water for the journey. They offer what they can, and Thomas readies himself, awaiting the party's lead. Before you set out, you may want to take stock of the supplies. Check if there's anything specific your party would like to request from the townsfolk, or roll any checks if you wish to inspect the gear or surroundings.
Garens steps forward and says, anyone who is interested in joining our forces, anyone who is brave enough in joining our forces, please come forth now and announce yourself.
As Garens steps forward and calls for any souls willing to join the party, a hush falls over the crowd. His words hang in the air for a moment,
Nobody.
and the tension is
I rolled a
palpable.
4.
A few villagers exchange nervous glances, but most remain rooted in place, clearly too frightened of what lies in the caves. However, after a brief pause, a second figure steps forward, a sturdy-looking middle-aged man with a scar running down his cheek. Name's Jorek, he says gruffly, adjusting the axe slung over his back. I'm no stranger to a fight, and I've lost enough to these cursed waters. If you'll have me, I'll stand with you. Behind him, a young woman with a bow who has been lingering in the back steps forward as well. I'm Mira, she says softly, but with determination. I can't just sit and wait any longer. I'll help you if you'll let me. Thomas, Jorek, and Mira now stand with you, ready to face whatever awaits in the caves. Garen should make a charisma, persuasion, check to see if anyone else will step forward and how firmly the villagers will support the party's cause.
Garen rolls a persuasion of 13 total.
With a total of 13 on Garen's persuasion check, his call has inspired a few brave souls, but it seems most of the villagers remain too fearful to join in the direct fight. Thomas, Jorek, and Mira stand ready, but no others come forward from the crowd. Still, the villagers offer what support they can in terms of supplies, grateful that there are those willing to face the danger ahead. The small group before you, Thomas, Jorek, and Mira, represents the town's last hope of resisting the forces threatening Wormwatch. While they may not be seasoned warriors, their knowledge of the area and their willingness to stand by your side will surely be valuable in the battle to come.
Damn. We're building.
Your party has gathered the necessary supplies and gained a few willing allies. What would the party like to do next?
Benadryl takes one of the fishermen's boats and builds a music box with her tinker proficiency and puts it in the boat and sends it over to the cliff face to see what happens to the boat with the music box when it floats past the cliffs.
Benadryl's quick thinking and tinkering skills come into play as she sets to work building a small music box using her proficiency. With precise movements, she assembles the box, crafting a simple but effective melody, that will play when wooed. Once completed, she places it in one of the fisherman's small boats, winding the box to ensure the sound will carry over the water. The party watches as Benadryl sends the boat into the water, its faint music echoing softly over the sea. The boat drifts away, carried by the tide toward the cliffs where Thomas and the priest indicated strange occurrences had taken place. As it approaches the cliffs, the boat bobs gently on the water. For a moment, nothing seems out of the ordinary. But then, as it nears the mouth of one of the sea caves, the boat jolts unnaturally, as if something beneath the surface has tugged at it. The music continues to play, but suddenly the boat is pulled sharply to the side, disappearing into the darkness of the cave. The music box's melody fades away into the distance until it's completely swallowed by the echoes of the cave. Whatever took the boat is clearly lurking just beneath the surface, and it doesn't seem interested in letting anything pass by freely. How would the party like to proceed after witnessing this?
And that's it. That is the end of session 1, part 2 of our campaign using AI as our dungeon master. It was a lot of fun. We hope you enjoyed watching as much as we enjoyed playing.
And we will definitely be back. We are going to do several more in this campaign, so stay tuned. We'll keep them rolling week after week as long as you keep viewing them, commenting, and sharing them. If you're enjoying it, we'll keep it going.